Greg Kelly Show.
Oh, boy. Fauci, huh? People were dying. Economy was crashing, but he was having a great time. Every day was a great day to be Fauci. I'm looking at his diary right now. He was literally having the time of his life, having a blast, so much fun. Oh, my goodness. Everybody is writing nice things about me. I love it. What a wonderful day! Exclamation point. Seriously, in the heart of the pandemic, he is, what a wonderful, awesome, interesting day I had today. And he goes into all the meetings he had, and then he goes into great detail. Everybody in the fake news who sent him a nice email, sent him a nice text, wrote a nice story about him. He was on TV with them. Even I am mentioned, actually. So was John Catsimatidis. Now, granted, it's just in passing, all right? It's bad. I did an interview with Greg Kelly. But he's a little bit more John Catsimatidis. He was on the Cats and the Cats Roundtable. Because John is a big media dude, and we're big media dudes, and he cultivated big media attention to his own detriment and to America's detriment. Now, I wasn't hanging all over the guy, right? You know, if he wanted to come on, he could come on. If he didn't want to come on, what do I care, really, to be honest? I mean, every time he spoke, it was pretty much hard to understand him. He didn't want to say anything. He didn't want to be too declarative. You have to bear in mind the caveat within the inclusion data. So if we extrapolate from the data, the efficacy of wearing a mask probably does comport with the other set of data pre-COVID. Like, what the hell are you talking about? He spoke that way on purpose. And it was just like it was self-serving. It didn't self-serve. It didn't serve anybody, but him and his ego. It was really quite something. And to read these diaries, wow! I'm only about how many pages am I in? 40 pages. I got about 450 to go. All kinds of gossip and intrigue and just nasty stuff. Bureaucracy, a lot of bureaucracy. This doctor doesn't like that doctor. He says a couple of times that he doesn't like Dr. Redfield, who I know, Dr. Redfield from the CDC, good guy, but he's always writing kind of nasty things about him. Oh, Dr. Redfield, he looks glum. Oh, nobody likes Dr. Redfield. Everybody likes me. It's really that kind of, that childish. It's not. You think these people are talking about science and talking about the greater good? No, They're scheming. They're worried about emails. They're worried about who goes on television, who doesn't go on television. It comes through that President Trump actually, everybody said, Dr. Fauci, listen to Dr. Fauci, listen to Dr. Fauci. So he listens to Dr. Fauci. He's nice to Dr. Fauci. And then he kind of starts to see through Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci doesn't want to commit to anything. Dr. Fauci is a bureaucrat. What do bureaucrats do? Most famously, they cover their tracks. They never want to be proven wrong. It's kind of like to get promoted in the federal government, the best way is to not make any mistakes, right? Not anything that they can hang on you. So how do you not make mistakes? You don't really do much of anything. You talk about stuff, you reflect on things, you talk about problems, but you don't have to solve problems. It's really kind of wild to go through this and see a bureaucrat. Maybe this is like a masterclass in bureaucracy. Then again, let's face it. He's had a fairly successful career as a bureaucrat. Glowing press. They made a movie about him in the middle of the gosh damn pandemic. He's having a great time. I remember that they were burying people, mass graves, on what they call Hart Island, Pauper's Field, up in the Bronx. They got this basically a big island, and all they do is bury poor people there, homeless people. And right on in the middle of that, he's writing in his diary how much fun he's having and stupid little things. He has fun in Vice President Pence's motorcade. We got to go down the street really fast, 50 miles per hour. Usually you got to go 30, and it's crowded. But all of the traffic lights, all of the intersections were blocked, so we could go right through. So much fun. This guy's 80 years old. He's still getting off on that kind of stuff. The immaturity. Yeah, he's immature. He's impressed by the stupid little things that don't matter. Meant the world to him. Meant the world to him. What also comes through here, Fauci is opposed to basically everything we did to stop the virus, everything that made sense. He catches up 5 days later. He doesn't. We don't want to do that because it could appear as though. Appear as what? We're not really worried about appearances now. We have to take dramatic, decisive action to contain this thing. He didn't like shutting down all the flights from Wuhan. He didn't like then shutting down all the flights from China. The Homeland Security, they're all worried about, okay, how do we get American families ready for this, right? What do American families have to do? And Fauci says, well, in my experience, really, we should not be talking about families so much as we should be talking about individuals in the population and things that they can do to mitigate risk. It's like, well, wait, what? We're looking for answers here. You want to talk about things and around things. He's also, again, having the time of his life because so many people are writing about him. He's on television standing next to the president. Then he realizes his currency comes from disagreeing with the president, undermining the president, kind of like Mattis did. Mattis, the Secretary of Defense, right? He's doing that, but then he's doing it even more so than Mattis did. Let's see here. All kinds of email games. He says out loud, and this is fascinating, like almost in passing, that the WHO is the World Health Organization. Sounds fabulous, but it's not. He admits that Tedros is totally reliant on China, and so is the World Health Organization, totally reliant on China. They don't want to call China out. They're afraid of China. They're intimidated by China. And China is the source of all this stuff. Pretty wild. I mean, incredible. I got a lot more reading to do. It is good stuff. Wow. Fauci is going to be on the stand tomorrow, witness stand. He's going before Congress. The timing is perfect. The timing is perfect. Now I see why he wanted that pardon so badly. If he was putting this in his own diary, granted, he probably never thought that I would be reading it, that I would watch him be wrong about issues, cover up for himself, play all kinds of internal political games. He says that there are conspiracies all over the place, that this originated in the lab. Yeah, no, it did originate in the lab. He even admits he does admit in the diaries that it didn't come from the wet market. It didn't come from that, what do you call it? That Chinese delicatessen, which they call a wet market for some reason. The what do they call those things? Farmers market. They had a Chinese version where they're selling bats and all these kinds of things. Now, a lot of us did not buy the wet market excuse. We thought it came from the Wuhan lab for virology, which is run by the China military, right? I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's right there. They're working on this stuff. Now, he swore up and down that is a conspiracy theory, but he says right here in his diary that the wet market was not the source. It was an amplifier, right? An amplifier. This boy is in trouble. Now, then again, though, and a lot of people in the fake news are in trouble because they covered for this guy, showered praise. They colluded with this guy. Half of the diaries are him kind of bragging to himself about all of these famous people he gets to meet and who are texting him. I mean, if you are impressed that Dana Bash texted you, I mean, I think I had a texting marathon once with Dana Bash. Who cares? You put that in your diary. Chris Cuomo is, first of all, gosh, talking to Chris Cuomo for any length of time. Doctor, were you able to ascertain that Chris Cuomo was perpetually stoned? Did you make that? All right, so I got a little bit more reading to do. I got some stuff I just want to know the whole damn kit and caboodle. Here's another reason why it's not getting much press. In addition to Fauci is a hero, right? That was kind of they told us that. They told us that Trump was the Antichrist, right? They believe in that. So this really shatters that narrative. And they don't want to do that. The other thing is it takes work, right? It takes work to read this stuff. And some of it is, fascinating and illuminating, and some of it is boring. I mean, some of it is just, and some of it is irrelevant. And there's 400 and something pages of it. Who needs it, right? Well, I need it. You need it. Remember, they told us that this is the guy, Fauci. They had fangirls, they had songs, the movie, Presidential Medal of Freedom, all that crap. It was all nothing, all. And when I see these kinds of things, and I see what a little man this actually is, and to think how I would operate in that, I would be immune to the pomp and circumstance of the White House. I would just be immune to it. I know I would be. Having been there, having seen it, it's like, guys, this is no great shakes unless you continually force yourself to think, oh my God, I'm in the White House. Oh yeah, get over yourself. You're in the White House. It's a government. It's the executive branch of government. Now get to work. Man, this Mamdani thing, enemy of the people. He's writing off rich people as enemies of the people almost. It's no joke. Editorial post. Zoran Mamdani has doubled down on his Eat the Rich campaign by publishing a list of hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers guilty of, ready, owning an apartment. The City Department of Finance released an enemies list of property owners who might be covered by the new non-resident pied-à-terre tax. Pied-à-terre meaning a foot in the earth, right? It's basically an apartment that you may or may not stay in when you're in town. Right? It's like having a second home, but it means different things to different people, and people are free to live their lives the way they want to live their lives. It's kind of a one-stop class warfare shopping list for Antifa radicals looking for targets. Remember when he went in front of Ken Griffin's big house on Central Park South? Hey, I'm coming for you. I was coming for a lot of people. A lot of people. There are one-bedroom apartments that cost $1 million in this city. $1 million. Does that make you a rich person if you own a $1 million? No, maybe. Remember Austin Powers? And we will hold him ransom for $1 million. That was a laugh out loud line in 1997 because $1 million wasn't that much money anymore in 1997. It's just not. All the way back then, $1 million was a bit of a joke. I still think it's a lot of money, but in terms of real estate, in terms of property, it's actually not that much money. All right, let's see here. Mamdani, mind you, publicizing the list, this is important. Publicizing a list like this serves no good purpose. The city is mailing all these owners, asking them to clarify if they don't qualify for the new tax. So this publicity isn't about informing them, it's about scaring them. Worse, as the Department of Finance website admits, the list is not limited to those properties that may be subject to the surcharge, meaning most of the list is not relevant to the new tax. Above all, many people on the list are the primary residents of the homes they own, which can be a condo or co-op that would sell at $1 million or more. Yes, like we were just talking about, which includes a ton of one-bedroom pads in today's market. And that is too bad for us if a modest residence is now a target for some anarchist disgruntled about his own poor station in life. And that really does motivate a lot of these people. It's not so much what they don't have, it's what you have, right? It's the jealousy, it's the income inequality. It's like you have that, you're enjoying a nice life. Instagram made a lot of this possible. I don't think we'd have Antifa if it wasn't for Instagram. But anyway, wild stuff happening. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222.
The Greg Kelly Show.
Going back to Fauci's diary here. Let's see. The date is March 31st, 2020, going into April 1st. It's got 2 days of entries here. This is what he's writing here. Welcome to Washington. I believe that the White House, mostly POTUS staff, are starting to get really pissed at me. The press conference turned out to be a SHI storm since Jared Kushner got up and tried to explain things and the press killed him. Also, the POTUS said he would not wear a mask, which undermined what Jerome and Bob had just said. Glad that I was not there. The ridiculous attention to me continues. Ridiculous. He's loving it. Fan clubs, swags, am constantly on TV. Countless profiles of me. For example, the Anthony Fauci fan club Twitter account wants you to know one thing. If you don't have a crush on this man, do you even care about public health? The account, which quickly skyrocketed to over 13,000 followers in just the past few days, was launched by 3 Maryland-based microbiologists who at first created a group chat to gush over Fauci in private. We can't be the only ones who are feeling this way, one said of the esteemed immunologist. Did I mention he's easy on the eyes, said another. The microbiologists aren't alone. Over the last few weeks, Dr. Fauci stands have been created on Facebook. There are Facebook fan clubs. I don't know what a Dr. Fauci stands is. TikTok videos, donuts, browser games, even prayer candles in celebration of the scientists leading the Trump administration's novel coronavirus response. A 79-year-old career scientist isn't usually the type of person the internet feverishly stands over. That's what he wrote, stands. But under these extreme circumstances, Fauci has emerged as the comforting leader of the internet, and the U.S. needs now more than ever Anthony Fauci, fan club at Fauci fan. Let's see here. It goes on like this. This is in the middle of all this crap, and he's chronicling himself. He's chronicling the adulation, and he's having a good time. He's enjoying it. It is the moment to exercise and practice freedom, Abigail DeKosnik, director of the Berkeley Center for New Media and a fandom specialist, told The Verge. DeKosnik says fandom around Fauci is thriving right now because it's one of the only ways we can connect to the outside world and interact with strangers since we can't see anyone physically. Fandom is what remains. For years, political figures like Fauci, who have spoken truth to power in tumultuous times in history, have become the ideal breeding ground for fandom. Well, he's actually often preaching lies and mistakes to power. He's attempting to misadvise President Trump every step of the way, especially on the lockdown from China. Kind of makes sense now. No, what we can do is a targeted transferal of personnel from certain facilities and provinces in China. We will direct them to 17 airports in the United States, meaning we can control the influx. No, you can't. 17, the provinces, what do you get? Cut it all off. Cut it all off. That's what Trump did, and that's what he did not want to do. Let's see here. You political Fauci has spoken truth to power in tumultuous times in history have become the ideal breeding ground for fandom. This guy's doing research on fandom, on how people respond to famous people. According to Know Your Meme, Ruth Bader Ginsburg rise to internet celebrity stardom corresponded with the creation of a Tumblr blog entitled The Notorious RBG, invoking the name of the famous hip-hop artist, The Notorious B.I.G. The blog, if only he was talking about, like virology and whatever the crap it is he's supposed to know in this kind of detail. The blog launched in celebration of Ginsburg lauded 2013 dissent in the Shelby County versus Holder case that struck down parts of the Voting Rights Act. That dissent, paired with the blog's memes, was just the right flint in creating a fire of RBG fan content and merch that continues today. Oh, maybe Fauci is looking for merch. It's always nice to have merchandise on your website. The excitement around Fauci is creating a similar community focused around bringing hope and joy to one another during this pandemic. That's all, right? Hope and joy. Did you lose anybody? We had a lot of people on this show who lost people, right? Amazing, wonderful people who lost loved ones. We got to talk to some of them today. How do they feel when they read this trash, right? That a guy is vaunted as a doctor, international, Everybody shut up and listen to him. He didn't care. He just cared about himself. The fandom is growing rapidly, with stands posting a slew of memes and merch. Etsy and Amazon are littered with T-shirts that feature the scientist. One asks, what would Fauci do? Another Etsy seller has made prayer candles featuring Fauci depicted as an angel with a halo over his head. Pastry shops across the country are selling donuts with Fauci's face, surrounded in red, white, and blue buttercream. You know what I would have done if I were Fauci, honestly, because I know a little. I'm not this level of fame, but I know what fame is like. I've had brushes of it with it. It's over in a nanosecond, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, and it's over in a nanosecond. And if you focus on it, you will actually put yourself back. It's harmful. Now, sometimes it's hard to do. I would think a guy of Fauci's stature and alleged intelligence, and the fact that he had been in the media before, especially in the 80s, that he wouldn't be susceptible to this kind of crap. But he is. Fauci's constant status in American life amid the pandemic has made it even more noticeable when he's absent. When Fauci did not make an appearance at the White House press briefing last month, the hashtag #WhereIsFauci went viral on social media as though Fauci stood up the internet. Andrew Banas, Wham, whatever. The fandom is cross-generational, too. On Facebook, Dr. Fauci fan club touts 40,000 members of all ages. Hey, that's not actually a big number, jerk. Okay? It's not like... I think my fan club has more than that. That's not that big. They post news articles to keep each other informed, but they also share memes honoring Fauci. In one, Fauci appears... I'm reading from Fauci's diary, okay? He's copying and pasting this crap into his online diary, his computer diary. Fauci appears on the front page of People magazine as the sexiest man alive. And another, Fauci's face is photoshopped onto the body of Captain America. One user posted a Trump-like campaign sign, but instead of featuring the president's own infamous slogan, it reads, Fauci, make science great again, 2020. The poster writes, humor helps me endure, blah, 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 blah. Perez Hilton is going nuts about Fauci. I think he had a gay crush on Fauci. Let's see here. The scientist plays an image of Fauci just on and on. Look at how famous I am. According to Business Insider, Americans trust Fauci more than President Trump and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin to handle the COVID-19 pandemic. All right, maybe this is substantive. Maybe. No one knows how long this pandemic will last, as Fauci mentions at nearly every briefing. As it continues, today's circle of Fauci fans could change the face of fandom in the future. Dr. Koznick said we could see a different fandom arise around this calmer, more rational, and more square celebrity performer. Let's see here. Allison Camerata. He has a brush with Allison Camerata. Oh, that must really make you swoon. Navarro is convinced based on... And then he's bad-mouthing everybody else in the White House. Bad-mouthing all the people he works with in the White House. How about that, huh? Well, it's one thing... Look, it is his private diary, and it's people... We're all our own heroes in our own movie, right? If you look through my text messages, even though I know I make plenty of mistakes. Do I write about them? Do I document them? I know I'm always beating up myself in my brain about them. Do I write them down? I don't know. I don't keep a diary. I've tried keeping a diary like twice in my entire life, and I'm like, who is this person? Who? It didn't sound like me. I didn't like it to be me. I didn't like. It's very hard to be yourself when you're writing, right? On some level, it's going to be read by somebody. It's going to be read by somebody. So what else do we have here? I'm going to come back to the diary. Pretty interesting. Not interesting. Fascinating. I mean, everything is backwards in the world. The good are bad. The bad are good. Mr. Decency himself, Dr. Fauci, and Joe Biden. Joe Biden, who was aghast that President Trump kept classified materials that he was authorized to do. As you know, he was busted with all kinds of classified material in his garage, in his den, in a storage unit downtown, all over the place. Well, now we have the totally conclusive proof that he committed federal crimes in that he shared this stuff with his biographer, a guy named Warmitzer, David Warmitzer. I'll get his name for sure in a little bit. His ghostwriter. You're not supposed to share classified material with anybody who doesn't have a security clearance. And Joe Biden was no longer the vice president of the United States. Justin, I just sent you something here, and this is a portion of Joe Biden speaking to his ghostwriter. They're working on a book, all right? That's going to make Joe Biden a couple of $1 million. Maybe not as much money, though, as he has put down on his taxes. Joe claims to have made $10 million from the vice presidential memoir he wrote. Nobody makes that kind of money. No ex-vice president makes that kind of money, all right? And I heard Mark Levin talk about this, and his taxes. You know, Joe had a lot of money slushing around, we believe, that, had to be, what's the word, laundered, okay? If you're getting money from Ukraine, if you're getting money from China, how do you account for that? Well, putting it under a book, right? Book earnings. That may be a way of accounting for some of the millions and millions and millions of dollars that were coming into the Biden crime family. So, all right, so here he is. It's actually not that hard to hear. It's his ghostwriter, and people do this. It wasn't like he was surreptitiously being recorded. The ghostwriter is recording their conversations because Joe didn't write the book. He just talks and talks and talks for 70 hours to this guy who takes home the audio and turns it into a transcript and tries to make sense of it into a book. All right, let's listen to what it sounds like.
This was a big meeting, the CIA and everyone on, it was
that a July meeting?
I don't know, it looks like it is. It says, it changed pens. So it's got to be after the 17th of June. And then it's a long meeting where DOD brief at DOD POTUS, Air Force 2, 2:30 p.m. There was a big meeting down in the Situation Room. It would have been. Some of this may be classified, so be careful with
Okay.
it. I'm not sure. It's not more classified, but I just found all the classified stuff downstairs. I wrote the president a handwritten 40-page
Stop.
memo.
I found all the classified stuff downstairs in the basement. In the basement. Now, unlike President Trump, he wasn't authorized to have that stuff. He wasn't authorized. The president is all of this crap is for the president. He can, how sweet it is. I knew this audio existed, by the way. I said so in 2023, that there was conclusive evidence on audio tape that Joe Biden committed a federal crime. And here it is. A little bit late, but it exists. You're not going to hear about it in too many places. So this, WABC, is a very valuable place to be, as well as just going directly to my social media or trusted social media where you can get this stuff and listen to it for yourself, read the diaries for yourself. No need to go through anybody else, all right? The media, the dominant media, they have committed so many mortal sins and so many, they should be dead by now, okay? I'll be right back.
The Greg Kelly Show.
Say his name! Say his name! Say his name! And you better say his name!
Who the hell? Say his name, Corey who? The latest career criminal who fought with cops and got shot. He had a knife Corey Ruiz. I'm not going to be able to remember that name. I could say it, but I'm not going to remember it. So I'm just going to call him repeat offender, all right? Repeat offender, Corey whatever. Let's see here. Strangulation, assault, battery, robbery, attempted assault on cops. He has said awful things to police when in custody. You're allowed to, but this gives you an idea where he's coming from. I'm going to get you, sucker. Although he didn't say sucker, he said I'm going to kill you. All these horrible, horrible threats to cops. And this is going back years. So this is Black Lives Matter again. Find a lowlife in the middle of a election year. This is the midterm election year. It doesn't matter. Portray it as an unjustified murder of a black man, right? And stir everybody up. And you will shut up a lot of people just automatically. You will. Now, it doesn't work as well as it used to, right? Because people are wise to this stuff. Actually, people are very wise. And sometimes complaining about the media, it's almost like moving to the jungle and complaining about the humidity, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? We know that. It's going to be like that. That's like the world as it is. Don't move to the jungle, all right? Don't consume the media if you know it's so unfair. And it is unfair and twisted and wrong. You got to keep the muscle flexed, though, I think, because there are people who, will buy it, and they possibly need a little bit of an assist from those who are, I don't want to say, those who are brave enough, those who have that muscle exercised to contest and to think critically, all right, and to see, no matter who it is, if they get up and start making a fool out of themselves. And, oh, by the way, the cops who are right there. Got a call yesterday. I remember seeing this over the weekend. A guy interrupts the Madison Police Department in the middle of a press conference, and because he's got something to say about years of this, that, and the other thing, oppression. It goes right up there. I imagine if my dad was giving a press conference and some maniac tried to interrupt it. All right, so the cops are talking, and then all of a sudden, this dude has something to say. Cut 7, please. Cut 7.
We've seen the cameras. We've seen it was a knife in this young man's hand. We don't want to hear that today. We didn't want to hear it when they put their neck on George Floyd's neck. We don't their foot on George Floyd's neck, and we don't want to hear it today. What do you have to say about that? Oh, you don't get to talk, I said.
Right.
Go ahead.
Enough is enough.
I'll step aside.
That's right. Give me this microphone then. Excuse me. That's right. My name is Carlos Dixon. I represent APTAP. All power to all people. Zero power to Zionists. Zero power to capitalists.
Stop. All power to all people. APTAP. Is that an LLC? Do they have a website? All power to all people. And it goes on like this. This insanity continues. And nobody has the gumption or the common sense or the, hey, cut the crap, pal, and sit down. You're bothering everybody. No, that's considered, especially in a place like Madison, Wisconsin. A couple of other things. Oh, I got my favorite joke. I also have my least favorite person in the world. Everybody at CNN right now should really be thinking about other lines of work. They've been busted as colluding with Fauci. And also this is the worst, okay? Hey, look, I'm up front. I love the president, all right? I think he's great. I am an opinion guy. These dudes, like Wolf Blitzer, they pretend that they're neutral. Listen to Wolf at the White House Correspondent Center. Wolf Blitzer's been around for a million years on CNN. Cut 13, please. Cut 13.
When he hired me, he said, remember, Wolf, we're the cable news, capital N, capital E, capital W, capital S network. This is where the news comes first, and don't forget that. Forget about your own personal opinions. Just report the news fairly and accurately.
Yeah, that's what they do over there at CNN. Forget about your own opinion. All right, so 8 seconds later, it's time to give out an award, and Wolf can't help himself. He thinks this award is great, and President Trump is reckless and a danger to democracy. Cut 14.
This year's print winner is Amr Madhani and Zeke Miller of the Associated Press. When sources leaked that Trump administration officials were attempting to purge the National Security Council of staff deemed not sufficiently aligned with the president's agenda, Madhani and Miller quickly moved to verify the claim. They uncovered an unprecedented vetting process. NSC staffers were asked about their past political contributions, voting records, and social media posts as a gauge of loyalty to the president. Ultimately, more than 150 NSC aides were removed, resulting in the loss of considerable foreign policy expertise. The story that Madhani and Miller produced is as consequential as it is revelatory.
Oh, my goodness. How dare the president care that the people working for him agree with him, right? Wolf obviously think that's a bad thing. That's his opinion. That's his opinion on that fake news story. Very fascinating. Very, very fascinating. Hey, the president is meeting with Bibi Netanyahu today. I'm told that might be tense. He's also meeting with Zelensky. That's probably going to be tense as well. And a few other things going down. We'll be right back. 800-8489-222. 800-8489-222. At Greg Kelly USA for the hottest internet content around. Be right back. Wow. It's really fascinating to read somebody else's diary when they had no intention or expectation that anybody would ever read their words, other than maybe a fawning autobiographer to help write a book. Right, Joe Biden? I'm talking about Fauci's diary, and it really is something. Talk about what does it show him to be? A petty, vain, territorial bureaucrat. A petty, vain, territorial, lying bureaucrat. And totally, I guess, possibly psychotic. You know, I think back to the months of that pandemic and the death and the dying and the having to stay inside and the rest. It was just terrible for so many people. And this guy is running around having the time of his life. And, you know, they talk about empathy. President Trump was exhibiting empathy. This guy was a megalomaniac. He was just, and loved it. So in April, I remember April very well. I was doing a lot of videos. They were kind of, you know, catching on or whatever, but I was working my ass off. I was working like crazy. Certainly didn't keep a diary, for crying out loud. Diaries are for girls. I mean, everybody knows Marsha Brady had a diary, and, you know, Davy Jones had to go looking for it. It was so... And then he gave her a kiss, which was totally age inappropriate, by the way. I'm looking at this stuff, and I think about the mass grave that was being filled in Hart Island. And this guy is impressed that People magazine wants to call him the sexiest man alive. For the love of God, can someone please tear up the petition of... Okay, now he's worried about people being critical of that. First he brags about, hey, they want to make me the sexiest man alive. And then he puts in a piece about the person who doesn't want to make him the sexiest man alive. He's reading the good press. He's reading the bad press. He doesn't like that. Now, I want to go back. Here's something really, gosh, he's tripping up Trump every step of the way. Some of the stuff I knew. I didn't need a diary because I saw it in real time as it was happening. Let's see here. At the press briefing today, I took the opportunity to say that the governors of Nebraska and Iowa are doing an excellent job. President Trump was rambling. Intense publicity about me continues with stories on grandmothers who have crushes on men, petitions to vote me sexiest man alive, major stories about my basketball career at Regis. I think that's Regis High School in New York. Janet Tobias pushing to get footage and access to the task force working with me. My goal is to set up this outbreak, not to participate in a documentary. I am very reluctant since the optics are bad. Well, guess what? Guess what? He does it. He does it. I am very reluctant since the optics are bad. She can do her thing as long as it is not intrusive to our work. I am really concerned that we do not have a clearer plan to open up the country at the end of April. No one is really in charge or even knows what they are doing. I thought that was you, Fauci. This is not my area, and so I can only provide 40,000-foot perspective, which is not good. Mal, you're being honest with yourself there for a moment. I know you're also being dishonest with yourself because you don't want it to be intrusive, but by the end of the pandemic, you have a camera crew embedded in your limousine, in your house. You're posing for pictures by the swimming pool. So much for bad optics, huh? So much for bad optics. You nasty, vain, lying snake of a bureaucrat. J. Edgar Hoover with the stethoscope. That's what they started to call him. He's on the Jason Rant. He doesn't seem to understand the difference between big media, small media. You know, it's all beautiful to him. It's all beautiful. He just can't believe he's getting the attention. Let's see here. He's upset that President Trump is upset with him. And I'm on what page now? Page 72. I got a ways to go. He's bad-mouthing Alex Azar, who's ostensibly his boss, the Secretary of Health and Human Services. He's bad-mouthing Dr. Redmond at the CDC, who's a great guy. He's bad-mouthing somebody named Anthony Ruggiero. Typical Anthony. Every time I think about that, I think of Rosanna. I don't want anybody talking about Rosanna. No, it's not Rosanna. It's somebody, Anthony Ruggiero. He seems to be, the vice president is always unprepared. According to him, let's see here. Hope Hicks, Katie Miller, and the vice president came over to me and said and indicated with their expression, "Thank God you are in the room." We explained this at the presser, another indication of the craziness in the world. Media requests, Fauci's sexual assault allegation, possible smear. Just when you thought life couldn't get any crazier, now we are getting media inquiries about this press release from a firm we can find no trace of online. The address they provide for their press conference is the Chinese embassy. I have a call in to let him know about this, but he is at the White House and not answering his cell phone. Lieutenant McGraw, can you help get to the bottom of who these people are? There is a phone number at the bottom. Just this, you know, when you are in the news every day, as he chronicles, as he likes, as he obsesses over, and he brags about to himself, and I guess to people who will ultimately read this, like his biographer, autobiographer, whatever, how close he is with Allison Camerata, how close he is with Dana Bash. Jake Tapper wants to have dinner with him. All this nonsense. If you do that, you are going to get noticed, and you are going to be, I guess, temporarily well-known or famous, and there will be some cranks out there. There will be some cranks, but having cranks is a status symbol in the swamp, right? Because, cranks who say nasty things about you online, right? You can easily construe that. People do it all the time for death threats. I have received death threats. Therefore, I need security. Therefore, when I have security, I am even more important. And it's incredibly convenient. Okay, there's that. So let's see here. Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, they all love me. Sham press conference. Gosh, I really don't want to read all of this, but I'm going to have to. There's something here already. Hey, John Catsimatidis. He goes on the John Catsimatidis show, which is, look, he actually came on my show, and that's in the diary. Do I get a 2-second kick out of that? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's human. Would I ever chronicle it like this? I'd be deathly afraid if anybody would find it, that I would be oohing and eyeing over Dana Bash and the rest. All right, so let's put that aside. It's going to be some moment tomorrow when he's cross-examined by Rand Paul, who had this guy's number before anybody else, right? He knew that there was something really wrong, really wrong with this individual. There's something terribly, terribly wrong with you. Back to the Black Lives Matter hysteria. I thought we were done. It's back. It's big and getting bigger. Cut 3, if you don't. No. It stems from this situation with the cops in Madison. Cut 2. All right. So this happens. It goes viral, even though it looks to me like a justified shooting. It doesn't even look controversial. And now any police interaction in the country is magnified. It's amplified. And it sounds something like this, a pushing match up in the Bronx at the Dominican Parade. Did you hear this one? Let's see here. Give me cut 1.
Why you pushing her? Why the you pushing her? Don't be pushing nobody. Why you pushing her? I got that on video. What's your number? Don't push her. The is wrong with you? No, he just pushed her. And I got that on video. Don't you push her. Yo, son. Yep. Oh my God! Get off of her! Get off!
Wow. Stop pushing her. Just a push. It's just a little bit of a push. Ooh. I'm looking live right now at the funeral for Senator Lindsey Graham. How about this? What do we say about this? Gosh, I'm just surprised they didn't have that funeral last week. You know, President Kennedy, I believe, died on a Friday. And I'm pretty sure the funeral took place the following Monday or Tuesday. When did we start dragging these things out? And there's going to be 2 funerals for him. There's going to be one in South Carolina. There's going to be another in Washington, D.C. There's going to be... Isn't that a little bit much? I mean, I know he was a media darling. I know he was a statesman, you know. I think it's a little bit much. Now his sister's going to be the senator? I officially don't like that. I don't think it's cool. All right. Yes, I think it's nice that she finishes out the term. But there are people who are more skilled, more knowledgeable. Then again, I don't think you have to be that skilled or knowledgeable to be a senator. You just have to be a person in good standing and have some intelligence and have some stick-to-itiveness and hopefully a unique skill or two that you bring to the table. Some sort of knowledge. I don't know what knowledge she brings to the table. You know, being the little sister, that's cute. But soon, wall-to-wall coverage, celebration. When did he die? He died Saturday, a week ago Saturday. That's too long. Can somebody find out when Kennedy died and when the funeral was? I'm 90% sure he died on the Friday and the funeral was on a Monday, maybe a Tuesday. Outside chance a Wednesday, and that was a sitting United States president. I think that's bigger than Senator Lindsey Graham, don't you? You know, in New York City, we have something. Well, you've heard of the phrase doxing. I must say I heard that years before I knew what it meant. Doxing means putting somebody's personal information on the internet when the person does not want it there or has every reasonable expectation that it wouldn't be there. But Zoran Mamdani has made it, one-stop shopping to find out who owns a $1 million apartment or more in New York City. You can go to the website and find out. And why would you do that? He wants to notify them that they may be eligible or subject to a new tax. This is not the way you notify people of that, though, actually. They have much better ways of getting in touch with these individuals. You don't proactively go to a website. They don't do that. That's not part of it. That's informational only, information for everybody, not for a subset. We think that this is basically giving permission to Antifa, if not encouragement for people to show up at these houses and protest, harass, maybe even harm. And at the least, government should do no harm, right? I don't want much from the government. I don't want them outing people. I don't want them subjecting them to harassment or anything else. It's bad enough that Mamdani, gosh, this should be rebuked by everyone. Of course, it's just for us in the conservative space. Everybody else seems kind of okay with this. It's not okay. Doxing people for their success. Remember when he went in front of Ken Griffin's house? Ken Griffin, major league hedge fund money guy, created massive businesses that employ tens of thousands of people. Mamdani shows up outside of his house and starts insulting him because he's so rich. You know who works on that house? Tradesmen, doormen, plumbers, electricians, right? So many people with middle-class salaries depend on these uber-rich guys. And in America, we celebrate success. We don't denigrate it. We don't resent it. We don't point fingers. You know where they do that? Where they did that? In burgeoning communist countries. How dare you have that? You shouldn't have a mansion we're all going to live in. We're all going to move in. Happened in Dr. Zhivago, of all places. I don't think he's ever seen Dr. Zhivago, right? A lot of these millennials, we think that we passed it down to them. We didn't. Actually, he's not a millennial. I think they call it a Gen Z. A Gen Z, high as a kite. But there he is, huh? Our friend Patrick in Indiana said, we got to find a way. If he swore to uphold and protect the Constitution, yet we find out he wants to destroy the Constitution, I think that would be a rationale for removing him from office through some sort of proceeding. Fair enough? Okay. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. I want to dip into Fox. I mean, this is ridiculous. Lindsey Graham was cool and all, but give me a break. And I was right. Kennedy died on the Friday. He was buried on a Monday. Go live now to Fox.
Against Ukraine. If it happens, there's going to be a test vote tonight, a procedural vote. If that's able to get through that hurdle, then they could potentially vote on this thing tomorrow. But to your point, Bill, if they're able to get this done and the Senate is able to do this, literally on the day that they're remembering Lindsey Graham, what a way to remember him. And I want to bring Aisha back into this because, to your point, Aisha, you were covering the Hill for years before you went over to the White House. We all have different Lindsey Graham stories. And I thought our colleague Chad Pergram made a good point this morning, which is that when Lindsey Graham spoke, we listened. A lot of the times when we're watching these speeches on the Senate floor, they can be pretty dry and boring. But anytime that Senator Graham got up there to that podium and started talking, we're usually telling our producers, hey guys, let's record this, let's roll on this, because it's probably going to be something good. I remember just doing that a couple months ago.
Thank you very much. Oh, give me a break. I mean, like 6 hours, 12 hours, 18 hours maybe of obituary material. Lindsey, am I wrong about this? It's Tuesday. Lindsey Graham died a week ago Saturday night. And there is wall-to-wall coverage on the cable right now. And the headline is, soon Trump leaves for Graham funeral. A president of the United States died in office, left behind 2 kids and a wife. They had him in the ground on Monday. Now, I don't think that's it's not a Christian, non-Christian thing. Lindsey Graham, Christian. John F. Kennedy, Christian, Catholic, right? I mean, if anything, Catholics, Christians, I know traditionally, like we have this wake, we have, like Jewish people tend to do the burial, right away, but even that went out the door. Remember when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died? Oh, my goodness gracious. Lying in state in the House, lying in state in the Senate. Just over the top. And some of the coverage is like he shouldn't even be dead. Death is a part of life, my friends. We're all going to die. And I just think that it's a little bit disproportionate, all right, to the life that he led. Fine, honorable, but enough already, okay? Let's do it for Lindsey. Even he would be embarrassed, maybe. Well, I guess I'm going to have to update my will. Already in there is instructions that I will be kept alive no matter what, no matter the financial expense, no matter the emotional turmoil on my family or anyone else. I will be kept alive. No pulling of the plug. I don't care if they think I'm brain dead. I know something's going to be happening up there, okay? Spare no expense. And then just for the hell of it, I'm going to be cryogenically frozen, just in case. No, I'm not going to go that far, but I don't want anybody to be pulling the plug because I became inconvenient. All right? Life. I choose life. I'm also going to update my will to say no cameras inside the church. No cameras, no video, no anchors, no reporters outside. Now, I know there will be throngs of people. But, well, look, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm looking live inside the church. And I'm watching people hobnobbing, laughing, and having a pretty decent time. I look at the Attorney General. I look at the HH. I don't hold it against them. I mean, they went to the funeral. That's fine. The funeral 10 days later, 12 days later, and it looks like it's a party. Aren't they supposed to have the party after the funeral? Right? Not at the funeral. It's a little, and I don't feel comfortable looking inside at the funeral. I remember, well, I don't remember, but I saw documentaries about it. John F. Kennedy, he was buried at St. Matthew's, that's where they had the funeral. And, they had cameras outside the church. And that's where little John Jr. gave that salute, right? And they buried him. It was a Monday. Carlos verified it for me. Monday. Friday to Monday. I think it's a little bit much that all this time has elapsed. All right? Now, I guess I should leave it there and stop complaining about it. I'm not complaining about it too bad. It's not about Lindsay. Anybody. Anybody. Hey, do me a favor. Well, let's take a quick break from this. I want to see, am I crazy about that? Am I insensitive? I don't think I'm insensitive. I'm thinking I'm saying what needs to be said a little bit. Yes, Dan, how are you? Oh, we lost Dan. Peter, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you, Greg?
All right, fire away. What's on your mind?
Well, now that you're talking about that, Lindsey Graham kind of reminds me of maybe Barney Frank. When he passed away, and they must be self-aggrandized, so what happens is I think they know all these people, and then they have some big celebration, and then 2 days later no one ever talks about him again.
Well, I don't know. Barney Frank, did they go this big with Barney Frank? Let's see. Barney Frank died, when did he die? He died on May 19th of 2026. Man, it feels like 2 years ago that was. Barney Frank funeral. Let's see when that was. June 8th. June 8th? I guess they call that, all right, it's a little bit different. It's a, what do you call it? A memorial, right? A celebration of the life. Is that how they get away with it? Oh, my God, Zelensky is there. Well, I get that. It's a little bit much. It's all a little bit much. I mean, these people are servants. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like the new royalty. It's the new, aristocracy. We don't have an aristocracy in this country. All right, good. Yeah, Peter, thanks for reminding me about Barney Frank. That's a little bit much, too. Anything else?
No, that'll do.
All right, I'll see you later. We'll try one more. Ed, you're in, where are you? Ed, what's up?
Hey, Greg, I got a quick question. When Mayor Mandani gets out of office, will ABC offer him his own show like Andrew Cuomo?
What are you doing? What are you doing criticizing management around here, all right? I love this radio station, okay? I love it. It's talk radio. What do you want? We have differing points of view. You don't see Cuomo around here anymore, do you? All right? I tell you what, Ed, you can start your own radio station and hire whoever you want, okay? And let me know how that goes for you. I will wait for you to do that, and you'll let me know who you're booking, who you're not booking, who you're hiring, who you're not hiring, okay? And you'll also tell me if that interferes with all of your other pursuits, right? You know, the oil company you must own and the grocery store chain and the aviation assets, okay? All right, Ed? Don't call up here with nasty little point of view. You don't think I get what you're putting down? I don't like it. I'm not going to pick it up. I'll see you later. Robert, it's your turn.
Hi, Greg. Mondami's family might have slaves on their Ugandan plantation.
Okay. And?
He can be deported.
Well, it is wild that they have a Ugandan plantation. I mean, just right there. Now, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, I do hear that countries still have slaves. Slavery still exists. And they have that caste system in India, and I think they have something of a caste system in Uganda. Does Uganda still have slaves? Let me ask my little electronic buddy here, ChatGPT. The short answer is not legally, but forms of modern slavery do exist in Uganda, as they do in many countries. See, that's why I'm not hanging up on you like I hung up on the other nasty guy. Uganda abolished slavery, legal slavery, years ago. Today, its constitution prohibits slavery, forced labor, and human trafficking. However, despite these laws, there are documented cases of human trafficking for forced labor, child labor, particularly in agriculture, fishing, mining, and domestic work, forced prostitution, and child exploitation, especially involving women and children, forced recruitment by the armed forces, blah, 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 blah. Are there people effectively living in conditions of slavery in Uganda? The short answer is yes. So why do you bring this back to the Mamdamis? I mean, look, if they got it there, it's a totally legitimate question what you're raising. Another question is, hey, where do they fall on LGBTQ rights? Right? I mean, he's always talking about his non-binary brothers and sisters. You know it's illegal under penalty of death to be gay in Uganda. Yet he's always bragging about going to Uganda to celebrate mine and Rama's wedding and to family and friends. Excellent point, Robert. Do you know anything more about this?
No, I'm trying to find more out. If I get something else, then I'll let you know.
All right. Well, you know what is kind of the problem? No one's going to go over to Uganda to find this out, you know? I mean, really, in all likelihood, no one's going to go anytime soon. And it's kind of like the problem with investigating the Bidens. You know, like the fake news, all they wanted to do was tweet all day long and smoke cigarettes on their laptop in Brooklyn. Nobody had the inclination, the desire, or means to get to Ukraine. Oh, I got to go back to that stuff with Joe Biden. Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for calling. There's another component to this diary that no one is picking up on, although I have picked up on it. What's happening is there's all kinds of stuff in there about Barack Obama encouraging Biden to not run for president. Doesn't want... Oh, my goodness gracious. Stop everything. Stop everything. We've been remiss. Jay Jackson from Abacus Global, are you on the line?
I am on the line.
Oh, I am so sorry. Our wires got crossed. CEO of Abacus Global, these folks, you got to sit down with them and figure out a couple of things. How long you're going to live. You'll be surprised at how long that probably is. And how many options you have. Jay, welcome back. By the way, you look great in those TV commercials. You're in those TV commercials. You're fabulous.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. The sad part is when people meet me face to face, that's what they say. You look so good on TV, which is kind of a letdown in live person, right?
Yeah, I guess that is a bit of a ding in one way or the other.
Yeah, you look much better on TV, not face to face.
You know, I get the opposite, and they say you look much better in person. I'm like, well, it would actually be better for my career if I look better on TV. So look, maybe, especially if you're in the TV and radio business. Yeah. But look, Abacus Global. If and you know, some people know the commercials. They've heard you and I talk before about it. But If you met a stranger at a cocktail party who was, curious and possibly, let's say, 75 years or up, and they said, "What do you do? What is this Abacus Global all about?" What would you tell them?
Yeah. You know what we do in its simplest form is help people have better outcomes in their latter years or in the latter part of their life arc. And in most simply, that sometimes raises more questions than answers. And what I mean by that is that both health-wise and financially, we help people better understand that if the number one fear is running out of money in retirement, I think it's really smart to better understand how long you might potentially be in retirement and then apply that knowledge to how you're allocating your portfolio so that you can ensure that doesn't happen. And one of the biggest mistakes we see from people who are 65 years old, they don't take a look at their own health data to say, gosh, I may be in retirement 25 years. I might be in retirement 10 years. We can help them get there. We get all of their updated medical files. We actuarially underwrite them. We provide that data back to them almost instantly now. And then we actually provide a service where we have an online AI-driven physician that gives them a summary. And if they have questions of what's going on in their medical records, that's the health side. But then the financial side, I always say this, is that Warren Buffett made 98% of his net worth post-age 65. And it's not because he went too conservative, right? And what we find is that people stop allocating to equity, stop allocating to the assets that got them there, and they go ultra conservative too early, and that reduces their outcomes. We're seeing people who now better understand how long they're going to be in retirement, and they're doubling their retirement income just because they're allocating it in a more intelligent way, using their actual lifespan data to help give them some guidance.
Well, that's fascinating, and I said this on the way in. Most people, when they sit down with you guys and you've analyzed the medical records, because some of us are a little bit afraid, you know what I mean? Like, gosh, how long am I going to live? But they are often pleasantly surprised, aren't they?
Sure. In fact, the number one response we hear is the opposite. It's like, gosh, Jay, you're projecting far too long. I don't feel that good. And I always come back with the same question, and it's, hey, if you could write a check today and I could guarantee you another year of healthy life, I mean, fully active, engaged, what would you pay for it? Because time is a commodity. It's got a real fungible, tradable value. It's just different for every person, and everyone has a different dollar amount. It depends on where they are in their arc. If you're looking at this and saying, gosh, I'm more towards the end of my life arc, then you're probably going to pay more for that year than somebody who's 40 years old. But the point is that everybody's got a dollar amount assigned to that. And we want people to better understand what that dollar amount actually is. And more importantly, how they can commoditize, how they can use that dollar amount to get better outcomes. And that's what's really cool about this. And we designed actually a calculator now that people can go in and learn this data on their own, and they can play around with it, increase my retirement income or increase the money that I leave to my heirs. One of them's got to give kind of thing. But if they understand what their health is, it gives them much better direction.
And I would imagine if you want, you can opt in for some contingencies. Like, let's say you're talking to an 85-year-old guy and you say, okay, you got 6 years left to live. And then it turns out, oh boy, he lives to be 97. You know what I mean? It could be longer. It could be shorter. Do you build in, is it an option? Like, okay, well, what if, just what if I'm, lucky enough or unlucky enough to die sooner or later?
What we do is very unique. We re-underwrite you every year. So it's part of your annual plan. Just like you get an annual health checkup, you get an annual financial checkup, and you apply these two. So if any given year you've had a change in health, then we then alternatively make an adjustment to your plan. So that way, you're right. Gosh, all of a sudden things really turn your way. And we thought, hey, initially here, based upon your outcomes and people just like you were sitting at an approximate 6-year lifespan, and now it's a 12-year lifespan. That's great news, but we would know that because we're updating that data every single year. It's not a set it and forget it scenario where you just put it in there and think this is where it's going to be. That's why we call it a life arc and not a lifespan, because a lifespan, people think of it as a direct, single, straight line. But that's not what your life is. Your life is an arc of probabilities. Every decision matters. And you're thinking about, what is that currency? What's that trade? And trading time is
the organist at the National Cathedral. Sounds like they're hitting any old random keys right now. Kind of. As the body, the casket of Lindsey Graham is brought in by a military honor guard. All right, it's live on Fox. Let me just check out. I'm going to go around the dial here. Is it on MSNBC? Where the hell's my remote control? There we go. Let's check out. Commercial. They're in a commercial break. Now let's check out fake news CNN. I still have it on Fox. I got other TVs here. CNN. Let's see if they got it on. No, they're in a commercial break too. But Fox has wall-to-wall coverage. Oh, now they're inside. I feel a little guilty talking. Hold on. That music is beautiful though now. It's beautiful. They calm down. Well, not bad. Not bad for a guy from South Carolina who just kind of, wanted to be in politics. Congratulations, Lindsey Graham. What a send-off. But enough already, okay? I think they could skip the one in South Carolina. Thinking about the mass grave on Hart Island. Okay, look that up. Mass grave, Hart Island, and Elmhurst. The dead people who were gathered at Elmhurst. What did I miss? Oh, the funeral. Okay, everyone's on their feet. The Trump family, the vice president, the president, all beautiful, all appropriate. I just think this should have been a little bit closer to the day of death. All right? Yeah, Susie Wiles, Steve Witkoff, Lara Trump, Eric Trump, Scott Bessent, the who's who. You kind of, this is like a hot ticket. I hate to say it, but a hot ticket. People want to be seen at the funeral, a little bit. There's some of that. I don't see any other presidents other than President Trump. Hey, by the way, it's live now on all the networks. That was CNN. Now I'm going to go to MS Now. Again, one more time. This is kind of a thing. Sometimes I focus too much on what the hell the media is doing. But, yep, there it is live. Okay, it's live on 3 freaking networks. I'm sorry, we don't have royalty. We don't have aristocracy. This is a bit much. It's the new royalty, and people see this. Young people see it or whatever, and they compare themselves, right? Okay, when most people die, they're not going to get this kind of stuff. They're not going to get this, I see it for a head of state. I don't see it for a United States senator. I don't see it for a congressman. I certainly don't see it for a talk show host. For crying out loud, the only funeral I can think of that was much bigger than this was Tim Russert's. Remember Tim Russert? 4 presidents went to that. It was carried on every single network. Who the hell is Tim Russert? Nice guy. Not as bad as the rest of the fake news, but he could be a little bit fake news. A little bit. Tim Russert, Meet the Press. He moderated Meet the Press and made millions and millions and millions of dollars doing it. Lindsey did not make a lot of money, but he got something else that people love. Ego pay, right? Ego pay. You're a senator in South Carolina. You're like the Prince of South Carolina for 25 years, everywhere he went. Lindsey Graham is in the room, especially in South Carolina. I don't know. Maybe it's bringing out the worst in me a little bit. Yep, there's Zelensky. Zelensky is there. Now, I want to say again, I liked Lindsey Graham. I liked him. And sometimes I disagreed with him. I just thought he had an amazing moment in backing up Kavanaugh. But the rest of it is, okay, now it's wall-to-wall fake news. Everybody's doing it. And it's just a little bit much. It's just a little bit much. But hey, I don't control the world, I'm not one of these guys. Everything would be great if I ran it. No, that's not true. A lot of people are just indignant all the time to other people's mistakes or other people doing things differently than how they would have done it. I don't like to think I'm one of those guys, right? I do think that there is it's one of the reasons why I don't get mad at The View. All right, if you want to have a dopey talk show on a dopey channel and say dopey things, it's a free country. I don't have to be upset about it. I mean, I wouldn't be upset about it. There are all kinds of people. There are smart people, dumb people. Why would I get upset about that? Why would I, like Greg Gutfeld, who I love, why is he running his show with the latest stupid thing that Don Lemon did? Knock yourself out. There are more important things happening here, like, oh, by the way, something that underscores hypocrisy, corruption, criminality. The Bidens, once again, how many times can it happen to these people saying one thing in public and doing something totally opposite behind closed doors? Joe Biden talking to his ghostwriter about classified material, saying nonchalantly that he kept reams of classified material in the basement of his house. So what we have, where does this all go back? A little bit of context. You'll remember that they were throwing everything they could at President Trump. They were so desperate to land him in jail or basically make him unelectable. Try to scare MAGA off. The porn star stuff, the classified documents stuff, January 6th stuff. The classified documents stuff was possibly their most sophisticated yet devious attempt to get Trump. Because most people, when we hear classified documents, we get, ooh, that sounds very serious. Because most people have no clue about classified documents. 99.9999999% of the people never get to hold classified anything. If you're in the military, you don't really think all that much about the classified. If you're in government, you get to see, gosh, they classify the weather report. They classify everything. It's crazy. It's crazy. I was the custodian of the classified records for my squadron, VMA 211 in Yuma, Arizona. I was a pilot, Harrier pilot. We had classified stuff there, secret, mostly secret. I think some was top secret. And they made me the custodian, which doesn't mean, I went in to make sure that it was organized, although that's one of the things I had to do. Every time somebody took out a document, they had to sign for it. They had to go through a special procedure. They could only read it in certain places. I had to keep a constant inventory of all this classified crap. And one day I went in there and I did an inventory of all this classified crap. And I realized, you know what? We don't need 90% of this junk. So I looked up the procedure and I said, okay, there's a way to do this. There is a way that I can get rid of 90% of this classified nonsense, make the administrative burden much lighter on me, make the opportunity to get in trouble smaller, because that's basically what this stuff just serves as a check. This is a secret little check on elected people so that the bureaucrats can keep you in line. There are a million different ways to get in trouble with classified documents, right? So what did I do? I destroyed them. I went to an authorized incinerator. I logged each one, did it totally by the book, and got rid of this nonsense. President Trump has the ultimate declassification authority, a president of the United States. It's laughable what they did. But since people would be in the dark about classified stuff, they kept it going because people didn't know any better. Joe Biden, Mike Pence, everybody has classified stuff in their house. But they were shot by their own gun, weren't they? Remember when Joe Biden got busted? It wasn't like they were laying out in the street. They were in the garage right next to my Corvette. That was his defense. I had him locked up in my garage next to my Corvette. So here he is saying classified, giving secrets away to his ghostwriter. Now, the ghostwriter, it's going to make money. He is divulging classified material to somebody who has no business seeing it because he's going to get money out of it. Talk about literally selling out your country. Go ahead with that, Carlos.
This was a big meeting, the CIA and everyone on, it was...
Was that a July meeting?
I don't know. It looks like it is. It says it changed pens. So it's got to be after the 17th of June. And then it's a long meeting where DOD brief at DOD POTUS Air Force 2, 2:30 p.m. There was a big meeting down in the Situation Room. It would have been. Some of this may be classified, so be careful with it.
Some of it may be classified, so be careful.
I just found all the classified stuff downstairs. I wrote the president a handwritten 40-page memorandum.
He wrote a 40-page memorandum, all the stuff about how he was right about Afghanistan and Obama was wrong. The other thing in here is not classified, but it's fascinating to listen to. I got to find it for you, but it's a big give and take between, not much of a give and take, actually. Joe Biden is slowly recalling stuff, but he recalls a lunch that he had with Obama. And Obama, Joe doesn't know it. That's the fascinating thing. I understand the conversation better than Joe Biden, who was actually there for the conversation. Right? So basically, Obama is trying to talk him out of running for president. And Joe Biden can't figure that out. At least not that conversation. Joe Biden is told by Obama, look, if you're going to run for president, you got to have a rationale to run. You got to have a narrative. Joe Biden's been in his politics, his whole life. He's getting these tips, these very basic tips from Obama. And Obama is basically illustrating you don't have a rationale to run. There's no compelling rationale for you. What, you're most experienced? That doesn't sell anymore. Look at me. Look at me, Barack Obama. I was here for a year and a half, and they made me president. What else does he say? You got to go to my team. You got to go to my people. You got to go to David Plouffe, my pollsters. And they'll tell you straight whether you have a chance or not. Well, you only say something like that when you know that your team is going to tell the guy you don't want to run not to run. That's what he's throwing cold water on his plans all over the place. The other thing he says, very interesting. Obama tells him, look, I care a great deal about your reputation and your legacy. Okay, I care about those things. And when Biden tells us that, it's almost like he's bragging, like I knew the president so well and the president cared about me. But that was code, Joe, you nimwit. Okay, that was code for he knows you're corrupt. The whole administration knew you were corrupt. That Burisma crap, that may have fooled some people, right? That may have fooled the fake news. You may have gotten away with it with them. You got away with it with everybody. But Obama knew. Obama's a smart character, smart cookie, kinda. Savvy Chicago insider. Hey, he's a lot of things. I guess he's not dumb. He's not that dumb to go from state senator nobody to president of the United States in how long? 4 years. 4 years. That's pretty good. Anyway, so I find that really interesting to listen to. So there's evidence of a crime. There's evidence that he doesn't understand what Obama was telling him. It reintroduces all that stuff about Joe's corruption. Unfortunately, we only have 2 hours. 2 hours of 70 hours of audio. I want to know more about the ghostwriter. You know, who is he? Was he on drugs? Everybody seems to be smoking weed these days. I want to know. It reminds me that Joe Biden lied to the country and the world when he said he was horrified by Donald Trump and the classified material. Donald Trump literally kept that classified material on a stage, right? On a beautiful stage, secure, in one of the most exclusive places on earth, Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago is an exclusive club. Joe Biden had this stuff in his wet garage. And then what did he do? He blamed his staff for packing it. He blamed his staff. So it's like a double whammy. It's a double whammy. He had it. He knew he had it. He didn't say, oh, my God, I have this stuff. Let's call the police. Let's call the FBI and turn it in. It was standard practice, just like Mike Pence. All right. And I'm still going through this thing with Fauci. All kinds of little tidbits here. And are you ready for the summer of Black Lives Matter part? I guess it's 2020, 2022, 2024, 2026. 4. Black Lives Matter summer part 4. Taking an ordinary shooting, an ordinary police action, and putting it on steroids. Game of functioning it for maximum political benefit for Democrats. Be right back. Hey, even though this funeral has been dragged out, it is fascinating. There is the President of the United States eulogizing Senator Graham. Good friends. Let's listen in.
A respected statesman, a giant of the United States Senate, and a true American original who left us much too soon. And that can only be the one and only Lindsey Graham. By the strength of his steadfast convictions, the force of his magnetic personality, and the goodness of his noble soul, Lindsey rose from a small town in rural South Carolina, a place he loved so much, to become a constant fixture of American politics at the highest level, and a force to be reckoned with all over the world. For more than 30 years, nothing of consequence happened in this capital without Lindsey Graham knowing about it. Nothing of significance happened anywhere in the world without Lindsey Graham having a view on it. And no bill became law in the most exceptional republic in human history without Lindsey Graham having a say in it. He was a man who gave America the full measure of his good and mighty heart until that heart itself just gave out. But even though Lindsey's life was cut short while he was still so full of vim and vigor, there can be no doubt that he lived absolutely to the fullest. He died doing the work he was born to do. He was truly a great politician, serving the country he loved to serve so deeply. He went out at the peak of his career and the top of his game as a legend that every one of us, many of us here today, are blessed to know him, and a friend that none of us will ever forget. There was truly nobody like Lindsey Graham. It was his hometown of Central South Carolina that Lindsey first learned the art of politics. His parents ran a bar and pool hall on Main Street with a room in the back where the family spent and
what happened?
As Lindsey said, his father taught him the key to being a successful bar owner is that you have to be funny enough that people will keep coming back, and that you have to be tough enough that you can stay in business and thrive. A very difficult combination. For his entire storied career.
Very interesting, very interesting.
Exactly who Lindsey Graham was. He was.
All right, nice, I should say, nice. A little much, but nice. Okay. I think they went a little bit overboard. This should have been last week this time, but what are you going to do? Okay, it's not up to me. But my funeral will be much more immediate after I die.
Tremendous friendships all over the world. It's a testament to his towering impact that among those mourning him here today are leaders, presidents, prime ministers from all over the globe. Sitting right
and that's nice. That's very
Lindsey
nice. All right. Thank you. President Trump live at the National Cathedral talking about Lindsey Graham. I know on one level he's got to be a little bit sick of this. All right. I'm sorry. It should have wrapped up last week. John McLaughlin joins us, the great pollster, helped get President Trump in power. He's great with the numbers, great checking the pulse of America. John, you're a fellow Catholic. I am not accustomed to funerals being dragged out like this 9, 10, 11, 2 weeks after the death. It wasn't like this in the olden days, was it?
Well, I'm not sure. Back in the olden days, my grandfathers were New York City detectives. Your father's a New York City police commissioner. I think they had an Irish wake and people grieved, and that was it. But you go back to the Jewish religion, then they'll bury you within 24 hours because that was probably the healthiest thing to do back then.
I think there's something to that. Kennedy died. Kennedy was shot on Friday, November 22nd at 12:30 in the afternoon. Monday, November 25th, he was buried. I mean, that's kind of standard. I mean, this is crazy.
Well, I remember, I was in St. Barnabas Grammar School in Woodlawn when the nuns they made the announcement that the president had been shot and put your heads on the desk and pray. And then they sent us all home. I mean, we had to walk home. But that was all televised back then. The nation was very sad. I mean, he was the first Catholic president. So, and I'm not sure that John Kennedy, I'm not sure would have been with these big Democrat socialists right now. He probably would have been a Republican by now.
Yeah,
so,
that's wild. Yeah. Interesting memory. Hey, listen, John, obviously it's a midterm year, 2026. I am picking up more optimism about Republican and MAGA, the chances. And I'm also seeing like finger pointing already happening in the Democrat Party about who blew the midterms. These midterms are looking up for the good guys, aren't they?
Well, if we run a contrast election, like all these times I've been on your show, I say we have to play offense. And with the Democrats right now, they're giving us a lot to play offense with. They wanted it to be a referendum on Donald Trump. And we just put up a national poll Friday, 1,000 likely voters, where our presidential vote and our generic vote has been very accurate. But it's President Trump had a 49% job approval, 47 disapprove, 1,000 likely voters. If you told us you're going to, it's not like one of these media polls where they have these numbers in the 30s because they only have like 34, 35% Trump voters. They stack it full of people that don't vote, illegal immigrants. You know, the media, they just poll adults. We poll voters, likely voters, tell us they're going to vote in November. And we had the generic ballot was 44% Republican, 46 Democrat, which is in the margin of error. But we asked them, all things being equal, more likely to vote for a Republican, a free market capitalist Republican, or a big government socialist Democrat. And the Republican number rises to 49%, and the Democrats drop to 36%. So if the Republicans, go to Dallas, put out a platform where they say, look, we're for voter ID, which 77% of all voters support. We're for proof of citizenship to vote, which 84% of all voters support. We're for tax cuts instead of tax hikes, which the majority of voters support. We're for secure borders, which the majority of Americans support. And they list a whole bunch of things where they have a platform that the majority of Americans agree with them, and they can push the Democrats, expose them, where you've got Democrats, this Democrat Socialists of America, they want to abolish the Senate. They want to change the Constitution. They want to get rid of our rights to free speech, freedom of religion, et cetera. I mean, we got a mayor in New York who absolutely is trying to drag Jewish voters out of the city so he can secure his reelection 4 years from now. So if the Republicans decide to stand on principle and run a contrast election, they can win in November.
It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. And so at the same time, I feel like the campaign hasn't really started yet. The contrast hasn't been made yet. I feel like, we're still in this limbo. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's the summer and everyone's checked out. Does this thing really kick off after Labor Day?
No, I mean, we've never had a midterm convention before, and that's what Donald Trump wants to do, right? So it's his idea. You got a historic president who believes in, keeping the party together and making them stand for popular things that he got elected. And so we'll have a convention in Dallas on September 9th and 10th. And for those of us in New York, we'll come back to New York and mark 9/11 and, make our stand against radical Islam because of, the memories of our friends that lost their lives on 9/11 25 years ago. But it's something that right now you have all these different candidates. You still have primaries going on. There's going to be a primary in Michigan next week on Tuesday. There's going to be a primary in Tennessee. There's Massachusetts doesn't have its primary until September. So there's a lot of primaries. Florida has its primary in August. So you still have a lot of primaries going on. But once all those primaries are done and the candidates are set, we get to start running contrast campaigns. And so you're seeing that these candidates that the Democrats have nominated, say in Texas, Tallarico, the guy who believes in 6 genders and is okay for, kids to be, have operations and treatments when they're under the age of 18, when they're young kids, to change their gender. That's permanent and stuff like that. That's stuff he believes in. And then you got this guy El Sayed in Michigan. They haven't decided that primary until Tuesday, where him and a liberal Democrat, Haley Stevens, running against another socialist Democrat, who they're finding out today. There was an article that he favored a mosque being built on the site of 9/11, of the World Trade Towers. And this is the guy who the Democrats want to nominate in Michigan. He might be the Senate candidate. Mike Rogers is a little bit ahead, but it's going to be a close race in Michigan for U.S. Senate. And then you got Maine, the guy, this guy Plattner. They had to get rid of him. The guy was, I'm surprised that they haven't, they got to check and see if the statute of limitations ran out on some of those things that these women say he did to them. So,
hey, John, I want you to hear something. Act Blue. You know about Act Blue, right? They raise money. It's a very easy way to give. I know a lot of Democrats give small donations like throughout the year, $5, $10. It's very, very powerful. Listen to this little pitch that Act Blue makes online. Cut 10.
Imagine a world built just a little bit differently, where everyone has a hand in creating something better, a place where elected officials align with your values, and where elections are won because of everyday people, not just a select few. We believed in that future, but somehow it seemed so far away. We asked ourselves, how could we use technology to not only make it easy and accessible to raise money, but also help more people participate in our political process? Those questions inspired Act Blue. We wanted to provide simple fundraising tools for democratic and progressive campaigns and causes, and put them in the hands of those impacted by our highest offices. As
All right,
a nonprofit.
stop. So this is Act Blue. They have like name recognition total among Democrats. I've been to their little thing. It's easy as hell to donate. And I think it works. Like, they aggregate the money. They put it out. They can give it to certain campaigns or whatever that is. I feel like it's brilliant. I feel like it works. And I feel like the Republicans don't have anything similar. Or do we?
We don't have anything similar. We do have WinRed, and we have other things, other mechanisms that it's as easy to give. The big difference was we require, like when you have your credit card code, when you buy something from Amazon online or some of those companies online, you have to put your security code in, your CCV or whatever. And they don't require that. They didn't require it up through like the last election, which means that there could be a lot of fraud. And there could be, because you're seeing people come out with testimony that, like, elderly old people that say they never contributed to it, and all of a sudden there's $100,000 in donations listed to them. It's like somebody's donating that money, and it's not going on their credit card, but somehow it's being paid through. And this is how Kamala Harris raised $1.5 billion after she got, put on the ticket after Joe Biden dropped out. And so they're not sure if that money is coming from domestic, legitimate, legal citizens or that are allowed to give. It could be, anybody in the world. And so there's investigations. John Solomon, who you probably know, has been at the forefront of investigating this with journalists. And it appeared, and there's been congressional hearings on it, and there's been. They had the head of Act Blue went before Congress and had to take the fifth, like scores of times, because they don't know where that money's coming from. And it could be coming from China, Russia, Iran, who knows, to support these Democrats. So we don't have anything that lacks the integrity that this does and lacks the security. I mean, it's a serious problem because when the Democrats, when Biden was in power, they didn't investigate it. They didn't care. They were just cashing the checks, and they were spending the money against Republicans. So Act Blue really needs to be, they really need to be looked at by Congress and by federal authorities, that if they took donations that were illegal and then distributed them to these campaigns. So it gave the Democrats a seriously unfair and possibly illegal advantage.
All right. Well, John McLaughlin, finger on the pulse of America, those amazing polls with your brother Jim. Hey, very quickly, whether it's based on data or your gut sense, Who is the Republican and who is the Democrat nominee in 2028? Care to guess?
I don't know. Donald Trump can't run again. It's like he made me look good for a number of years. So it's like, I just want to get through November 3rd. My guess is after November 3rd, November 4th, you will have a free-for-all on both sides with lots of candidates, Democrats going off, having a big battle between the big government socialists versus their usual liberals and the Republicans.
Yeah.
We will see. We'll see if anybody can be as good as Donald Trump.
All right. He has spoken, John McLaughlin. Thanks for all you do. If anybody wants to commission a poll and find out how popular they are or how unpopular they are, what's the website, please?
You go to McLaughlinOnline.com. We put up the poll results here. The poll I was citing to you is on there. We tend to be fairly transparent. So,
all right. Thank you, John.
They can go there. But thank you, and keep up the good work, getting the truth out.
Thank you, sir, very much. McLaughlinOnline.com. Thank you, John. Folks, it's your turn. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back going through this thing. I'm going to talk to Brett Giroir in a little while. He was one of the experts during COVID, one of the good guys. I see that Fauci hates him. Everyone's dying. Got people dying all over the place, and this guy is just having a feud with Brett Giroir, playing all kinds of games, inter-office politics. He's making friends with General Milley. This guy is too much, man. Uh-oh. Press having a field day trashing the POTUS for a statement about drinking bleach, consuming the press. We'll brief governors today with the POTUS. Governor talk went well. Cuomo stated that I had been saying all along that we need partnership. Note, the POTUS goes back and forth and has often said the states are on their own. And when I say partnership, there was some concern that I was contradicting POTUS. For the first time, the POTUS had a presser and walked out without answering any questions. Axios wrote that he may greatly diminish pressers he used to love due to the rating surge. However, his people are now telling him that it is greatly hurting his approval ratings. It's just interesting. I want to get back to does he actually amplify? Does he believe that President Trump said drinking bleach? Because President Trump did not say that. All right? President Trump did not say that, you son of a bitch. He does put it in quotes. All right. So let's see. Got to get out of here in a second. 800-848-9222. Let's go with Amy. How are you?
Hi. A little while back, you were talking about trying to start studying the Bible and getting into a Bible study routine.
Well, yeah, I mean, I kind of am in. Every now and then I'm frustrated with myself because I fall out of the routine, but I'm like light years better than I used to be. Why? What's up?
I volunteer trying to help people do exactly that. Start, make the Bible a part of their daily life. And I use an illustration that's really cool, even with kids. I have a little jar, and I have big rocks and then little rocks and sand. So I have everything in there, and I dump it out. The only way to get everything back into fit is you have to put the big rocks in first. And then all the little stuff goes around it and finds its place. But that's the same way we have to look at our Bible study. That's our way of, communicating with God and Him communicating with us. That's our biggest rock. So when we start the day with that, all the other things seem to just fall in place around it. Whereas when we don't, nothing seems to fit.
Well, you know what? At first I had a hard time following you, but I totally get it. And I kind of love it. Amy. Good for you. That totally makes sense. All right. So you start with the big. Let me ask you this. Do I have to start with it? For everything to fit, like what would happen if I did it at night or I did it when I get to work? Do I have to do it first thing in the morning or what?
It doesn't have to be. So keep seeking first the kingdom and His righteousness, and all these other things will be added to you. So in your mind, if you have a routine that's very set already, you can't throw something in there in the morning, then you start with a prayer. And God help me do my Bible study today.
All right. Hey, listen, Amy, I love it. Do me a favor. Stay in touch. What's the name of your group you volunteer with?
We're Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, yeah, you guys. You know what? I just went by a Jehovah's Witnesses building. I don't know much about you, but the ones that I see, and you in particular, sound very good. So thank you very much for sharing that. Okay, Amy? Stay in touch.
Thanks.
I love it. I love it. John, you're in Brooklyn. Hello.
Thank you very much for taking my call. Lindsey Graham has a 1 A+ rating with the National Right to Life and other right to life groups throughout the country. So I've always had a great deal of respect for him.
Okay, good. It's a little much, though, right? A week and a half of funerals.
Well, I suppose. I guess that's the way the people maybe in South Carolina want it.
Yeah, I don't know. These people, you know what I mean? They work for us. We don't work for them. But I like his.
Maybe so, but he did work for us. He worked for his salary, whereas there are a lot of senators and congressmen who aren't worth their money.
Yeah, and somehow they become rich, huh? How about that one? All right, John, thank you for reminding us about that. Thank you, pal. Larry, you're in Tampa, Florida. Hello.
Hi, Greg. In view of the fact that today's the first day of the bar exam, I was wondering if I could throw something out about that judgment that Kaplan gave E. Jean Carroll against Trump. I think that's complete nullity, and I think that Trump's lawyers should file a complaint in equity to seek declaratory relief to that effect, and then bring it to Article 78. Proceeding declaring that law, that Survivors Act law, to be unconstitutional.
I hope they already thought of all this stuff. I hope they did. I guess that the Supreme Court would not hear that, right? The Supreme Court would not hear it, but there are other avenues, maybe the ones that you just suggested. Yeah, that Judge Kaplan is a jerk. Hey, did you say today's the first day of the bar? In what state?
Every state. Right now, I think is the multiple guests, and then tomorrow is the essay.
Oh, boy.
I've been in the New York bar in 30 years, so I don't know if they changed that.
I hear the New York bar is one of the hardest bars. California, I hear, is one of the hardest. Connecticut is easy. They vary from state to state. All right, Larry, thank you for that. I think we're going to wrap things up with Gail. Hello.
Hi, Greg. This is very personal, my personal opinion. I feel that God wants to take us. It's not necessarily keeping the plug in after, an unreasonable amount of time. I believe in the afterlife very, very much. And I feel, when God wants us, that's fine.
Well, yes, but, I want to put the afterlife off as long as possible, just in case. No, I believe like you believe. But, if God wants me, he'll take me. He's not going to worry about some plug in the wall. You know what I mean? Anyway, Gail, I appreciate you and your concern, and I love it. To be continued. I'll make a video later on.